Welcome back to Hey Baby and Beyond. I'm Lauren, an antenatal teacher here in the UK. And in this first series, I want to share with you your options for labour and birth and what you need to start thinking about in the early parts of planning. So, you're probably going to know your due date, and that might not be when your baby actually arrives, as only around 4 to 5% of babies arrive on their due date. Shocking, right? We all plan for this big day and then they don't arrive. So it might be quite useful to start to think about the fact that your pregnancy can last between 37 and 42 weeks. Any time between there is kind of quite normal, but it is normally the later end, especially if it's your first baby. So where are your options for giving birth? So what you need to think about is what matters to you in your labour and birth experience. If you're not bothered and you're a very go with the flow kind of person, then that's absolutely fine. But some people like to know what options are available and where they can go to get these things. So what I always say in my sessions is plan for a home birth, even if you're not planning a home birth. And no, that's not because most babies arrive at home. It's mainly because in the early stages of labour, you might be asked to stay at home for the longest part. And that is because the home environment is normally the one that boosts the oxytocin and helps the labour to progress and to flow. And that's what we really need to think about when we're following through, whether you go to a birthing centre, a labour ward or a theatre setting. All these places, we need to be mimicking these hormone boosters. So, what are your options? So we've got a home birth as an option. Some people like to stay at home because they have continuity of care. They will see one midwife throughout their pregnancy often, who then follows through to the labour and the birth. They have one-to-one care, so they don't get left in labour at any point. They will have somebody with them in their home, helping them and supporting them and their birth partner. If things change and the plans change and you need to go to a hospital, you'll often be taken via an ambulance, and your midwife will go with you in the ambulance often to the hospital. At that point, sometimes the midwife will then stay with you until your baby's born. Often the people do choose to go for a birthing centre from the start because what we're looking at is a home from home experience. So people choose the birthing centre because it's a low risk area. It is completely run by midwives, so there is no consultant-led care in there. It is purely midwife-led. So this will keep you at that low-risk end of labour and birth. The idea being that you're going to zone in on the kind of real self-help methods of pain relief and basic pain relief options for labour, i.e. birthing pools, water, gas and air, and some opioids. The next stage is the labour ward. Now, some units don't have a birth centre, so you might start off on the labour ward. Again, really thinking about why it's so important and why people choose a home or birth centre. It's purely environmental. So we need to be creating that environment in that labour ward setting. And that's really easy to do, and we will go on to have a look at how we can do that. The next place that you sometimes might see or you sometimes might start off is the theatre setting. And in a theatre setting, again, it's not just for a caesarean birth that's planned. It might be that there's a change in plan for the type of birth you need, some assistance, or for afterwards, if there's any issues with yourself after birth, you might require to go to a theatre setting to have things completed. So you might actually start in one place and you might see them all, or you might start in one place and you might stay there. The thing with labour and birth is really to remember that it is a journey. There might be bumps in that road and we can't predict these things. So it's really important that you know what's coming and how you can control these different situations if you come across them. So that's why I always say to parents on courses, go and have a look at what's available in the area. The other thing to take on board is that sometimes, especially in our local area, if the unit is shut for any reason, i.e. it's not safe to facilitate another birth, you might be asked to move to a different unit. Now, if you didn't know that and that happened on the day, you are likely to have adrenaline levels through the roof, which are going to overtake your oxytocin, and that is not what we want. So do be aware of what's available in other units. So if you're planning to use the birth centre at one hospital and they can't facilitate your birth, you don't then have to go and use their labour ward. You can ask to go to another unit with a birth centre. And these are really things that you need to be aware of, because these can change your experience quite drastically. And what we want is for you to go into it being completely confident in the fact that you've got exactly what you want out of your birthing experience. The next thing to take on board is that every single person's labour and birth is different. You'll never get to the same. It's not possible. So even for the same person to go on to have another baby, it will always be slightly different in some kind of way. So please do try and not take on board other people's stress and anxieties around labour and birth. Negative stories that you've heard or read are really not going to do you any good in this process. You need to go in it with a clear mindset, and absolute confidence in yourself and your body. This is your body, it's your baby, it's your birth, and it's your journey. So you write this story, don't go off somebody else's that they've already written. So anyway, going forward, please do follow, like the video, any comments do drop below, and we're going to carry on with this series so that you can watch this in a manner where it will follow through for your labour and birth experience. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know where you plan to give birth, or if you've given birth already, where did you see? Did you see everywhere? Did you see one place? I'd really love to know.